So you got yourself a copy of The Artist's Way, and now you want to jump straight into week one because screw the introduction. I've already watched a bunch of TikToks on what to expect from this book. All I gotta do is write 3 pages every morning, take myself out on a date every week, do some other stuff, and I'll do great. I'll knock out these 12 weeks in no time. Wrong. You gotta read the introduction first. It's in there for a reason. What is up? If you know who I am, hi, welcome, or welcome back to my channel. If you don't know who I am, hi, my name is Kathy. I am a rising senior majoring in digital design at the University of Colorado, Denver. I am also a graphic designer and illustrator trying to heal her relationship with art and life, and what better way to do that than with The Artist's Way. I want to treat this video as sort of like an introduction to The Artist's Way. I'm not jumping into week one just yet because I want to get myself familiar with the book and set the right expectations for it. So if you guys want to come along with me for this Artist's Way journey, I'm going to go through the entire 12-week program. Yeah, feel free to subscribe, like, do all the YouTuber-y things that audiences do. I don't know what that was. Before week one, Julia Cameron has 3 short chapters for you to go through: the introduction, spiritual electricity, and the basic tools. I myself am not a self-help reader, so I just assumed that if I were to treat this book as any other nonfiction book, that I would get it, that I would just have to go through the steps, get into the facts, do the work, read the thing, and all my problems will be solved. I think the problem with just jumping into the book and treating it in this manner is that you're jumping into the content without the context, and context is very, very important. The introduction, other than serving the purpose to tell you what you're getting into and what it's about, helps to address any preconceived notions that the reader will have prior to starting this book. And one of the main criticisms I heard about The Artist's Way is how much it uses the word God and its emphasis on very Christian-centric spirituality. But Cameron addresses this in the 2nd page of the introduction, that you don't have to use the word God if you don't believe in God or are not comfortable with that word. Instead, you could use good orderly direction or flow in place of that word. By repeating the word God throughout the book, Julia Cameron wants you to know that The Artist's Way is a spiritual journey, and it's a spiritual journey for everyone, regardless of your religion. I myself am not religious. I come from a family of Buddhists, but we have been very secular in our ways of practicing it just because of the busyness of life. And despite me being non-religious, I do understand why Cameron connects the idea of art with Christianity and spirituality, because it is literally in our history. Back in the Renaissance era, artists were believed to have been gifted their talent by God himself. Artists were no longer just craftsmen or laborers, they were intellectuals and celebrity figures. Because God gave them the gift of creativity, it was their duty to give back to God using that gift. It's why Christianity is a huge part of Western art history, why Christian and Catholic institutions were patrons of the arts. Disclaimer, this isn't me telling you to convert to Christianity and praise God in order to pursue the Artist's Way or do the 12-week program. This is just me being an art history nerd. Cameron digs deeper into this concept in the next chapter called Spiritual Electricity. In today's world, the idea of having a calling to be creative seems a little far-fetched. We fear of becoming starving artists who fail to consider something more practical to make money, to pay the bills, to survive, and even thrive. And if you think of God as your mom or your dad or some sort of parental figure, they wouldn't be so approving. Cameron actually wants you to challenge that thought. If you consider God, capital G God, as the being that created us humans in his vision, wouldn't he then allow us to be creators as well? The word creator literally means artist, so artists are, in turn, capital C creators, right? I recently watched the Barbie movie, and I'm pretty sure many of you have as well, and I often think about how Barbie Land works in that opening sequence. How Barbie magically changes into her outfit, how she uses a too big toothbrush and a too big hairbrush, how there's no liquid, how she effortlessly floats down to her car from her house. And I realized that Barbie Land is like that because we as children are playing God. Creativity is is about playing God. We use our imaginations to create universes and multiverses. We express our ideas through writing, dance, painting, filmmaking, video games, and more. We tell stories around the fire about our creation and pass them down from generation to generation. We paint with our hands in caves to let our descendants know that we've existed for thousands upon thousands of years. We write books and poetry to share our experiences and emotions. We watch movies and shows about love and meaning and purpose, and once we found that purpose, we play video games to kill God, because maybe our world isn't about God. It's about all the things that God or whatever higher power is up there gave to us, and it's about protecting those things that matters the most. And to me, that is what art is. Of the 10 basic principles of spiritual electricity, this one stood out to me the most. We are ourselves creations, and we in turn are meant to continue creativity by being creative ourselves. In the next chapter of the basic tools, Cameron guides us through how to go about morning pages and artist dates. These are the 2 non-negotiables of this program. Before starting week 1, I've actually been doing morning pages almost every day just to get the hang of it before adding on the reading, the artist dates, and the other weekly tasks. Cameron suggests that you should carve out at least an hour a day to do the artist way. That rhymed. Wow. I personally recommend setting up a Google Calendar to block out the time. So let's get into morning pages. You literally write 3 pages of stream of consciousness right when you get up in the morning. And this is much easier said than done. My wrist hurt so much the first couple times I tried this, but no matter how I was feeling, I had to keep writing. Even if all I wrote was, ow, my hand hurts and I don't know what to write, over and over and over and over again. Cameron says that there is no wrong way of doing morning pages. Just make sure that you're doing anything to get those 3 pages done. But why do morning pages? Isn't it just like journaling? Yes and no, it's a little more intensive than that. As artists, we tend to be our own worst critic, and that worst critic inside all of us is called the censor. When doing these morning pages, it's very tempting to let the censor take control, to have them say that it's not perfect and that we need to write better. But that's not the point of doing morning pages. You actually need to do the opposite. Tamper down that censor. Make that censor a villain. Its words don't matter. They may sound like the truth, but they're just opinions. By spilling all your thoughts and fears onto the page in stream of consciousness, you're actually doing the work to take that power away from the censor. And that takes practice, so you gotta do it every day for these 12 weeks, and hopefully, according to Cameron, for the rest of your life. Yes, it's going to be boring. I'm already bored. But Cameron says, boredom is just what's the use in disguise, and what's the use is fear, and fear means you're secretly in despair. So put your fears on the page. Put anything on the page. Put 3 pages of it on the page. Artist dates are self-explanatory. It's a solo date that you go on to feed and nurture your inner artist. No, it doesn't need to be an expensive fine dining restaurant dinner date. You can go to the playground or the library or a park. As long as you are present with yourself and you're giving your inner artist attention, it's an artist date. Try something new every week if you can, and if your inner artist is telling you that they're too overstimulated or too bored, listen to them and plan a better date for next time. So the last portion of this chapter is called Filling the Well, Stocking the Pond. Artists can't create without consuming things to fill our well. However, you can't find images and inspiration by solely scrolling on Pinterest, because that only uses one of our 5 senses. We have to experience things that involve noise, sight, smell, taste, touch. This isn't a concrete required task or thing, but it's something to note about when you're going through your day-to-day routine. Things like showering, cooking, bathing, driving. The repetition of mundane tasks helps to fill our well because it's stimulating, it's soothing, and nourishing. So tune into your senses when you're doing your normal daily tasks. Alright, with all that out of the way, let's sign the contract. I, insert name here, understand that I am undertaking an intensive, guided encounter with my own creativity. I commit myself to the 12-week duration of the course. I, insert name here, commit to weekly reading, daily morning pages, a weekly artist date, and the fulfillment of each week's tasks. I, insert name here, further understand that this course will raise issues and emotions for me to deal with. I, insert name here, commit myself to excellent self-care. adequate sleep, diet, exercise, and pampering for the duration of the course. Sign your name, write down the date, and upon the signing of this contract, you have understood the context and set realistic expectations for the weeks ahead. And with all that out of the way, let's get into week 1.